Hello, friends. So, Bible study, NIV, John, chapter 4. And we're going to start at 19. And then we are going to read till 26. And then we're going to jump over and read 39 through 42. And we're not going to do it as a separate video because it's the same kind of thing. What we're really skipping is the disciples coming back because it's not really necessary. So what's happening here is the disciples have done, they had to get out of the area of Jerusalem. Jesus decided it was time for them to go because remember, he's playing the not time to die yet game. So he has to try to keep him and his peoples alive. So they decide to leave. He decides, let's go talk to the Samaritan village, which is kind of surprising for the disciples. They don't know what's going on here because in their brain, this is their Messiah. It's for the Jews. It's not for anybody else. No one else is allowed to have it. They don't even realize that anybody else. And it will actually end up being like a tipping point that leads sort of to other things unknowingly because they firmly believe he's supposed to be a warrior king who's going to throw out the Romans, like the prophets of old who have taken us out of captivity. So that's only supposed to be for the Jewish people. And the idea that it could be for other people is part of the reason why Judas betrays him in the first place. I'm not defending Judas or anything. Just that's the mental state. He can't possibly be the person I think he is because he wants to give what should be our saving to everybody. What do you mean to these Gentiles? Is essentially the way that it is. Because remember, it's a melting pot. We like to think of ancient man where everybody's just all in their own country, nobody's talking to each other, and it's not. It's a melting pot. The Middle East was the original melting pot of different religions, different cultures, all being together. In that one region, you have the start of Judaism, Christianity, and Muslimism, all in one place, right? So it's why, the rest of us get on. It's like, if you feel like, every time there's war there, you feel like you get little, they have to blow it up. And that's because it's the starting point for all the major religions. So you'd rather they stop setting things on fire there or bombing things, so those places there still exist. So he's waiting at this well, specifically for this Samaritan woman. You can see it in The Chosen in the last season. They do a great job, and there's a reason for this. Okay, so she encounters her. The disciples have gone off to get like food and all the rest of that stuff. He sent them away, and he's just sitting there waiting for this woman at a well that Jacob dug. And this woman recognizes this well as, Jacob's well, and that's her ancestor, even though she's not a Jew. Because it's very specific as to where the Jews are versus the not in this point of history. You'd actually have to go dig deeper into the history, because at one point you've got North Jerusalem and South Jerusalem, and North Jerusalem gets invaded and is no longer there. And it's not just Israelites, but Jews from Judea. That's South Israel, not North Israel, right? So you're talking about a difference in who they consider part of their own peoples anymore. And wasn't necessarily all of the same. And he's told her things about herself that she's not supposed to, he couldn't possibly know, because he's just some stranger sitting at a well who she can recognize as a Jew, from the way he's dressed and stuff. Sir, this is 19. Sir, the woman said, I can see that you are a prophet, because he knows everything. Our fathers worshipped on this mountain, but you Jews claim that the place where you must worship is in Jerusalem. That's where the temple is. Jesus declared, believe me, woman, a time is coming when you will worship the Father neither on this mountain nor in Jerusalem. You Samaritans worship what you do not know. We worship what we do know, for salvation is from the Jews. Yet a time is coming, and has now come, when the true worshipers will worship the Father in spirit and in truth, for they are the kind of worshipers the Father seeks. God is spirit, and his worshipers must worship in spirit and in truth, in deed and in action and in word, like your actions and your words being in alignment with how they're telling you to live your life, not just the ritual and the performance and letting everybody else see. The woman said, I know that the Messiah, called Christ, is coming. When he comes, he will explain everything to us. Then Jesus declared, I, who you speak to, am he. So she then gets all really, really excited and runs off to her people and tells them she's met the Messiah. Now imagine, after being in Jerusalem, with all that tension, with all the Jews and all that, like the Pharisees, you got the followers, the Pharisees, it's a lot of drama, a lot of activity. Just try to imagine, you're trying to, no peace, everybody wants to come see him. He's like a circus sideshow act. The Pharisees are looking for ways to kill him and his disciples before he's even started to get started, because they were scared of John the Baptist, and this guy's got more followers than he did, and that guy is telling all his followers to go follow him over here because he's going to get bigger. And how much this must have been refreshing. That just by knowing things that you shouldn't possibly know about a person that you just met, and just like that, they believe you're the Messiah. And they're excited to tell everybody. That must have been such a balm for him. Now, the disciples do come back at this time, but they're not asking him questions, and they're trying to convince him to go eat. And that's when she goes and, runs off. He doesn't really care about eating. He's got other things on his mind, so food isn't the first thing on his mind. And they're still very concerned with the daily, everyday, and he's thinking about all the work he has to get done. He's a little bit of toxic overdoing right there, but his time on earth is limited, and he knows that. So the next sections here is called Many Samaritans Believe. 39. Many of the Samaritans from that town believed in him because of the woman's testimony. He told me everything I ever did. So when the Samaritans came to him, they urged him to stay with them, and he stayed with them for 2 days. And because of his words, many more became believers. They said to the woman, we no longer believe just because of what you said. We now have heard for ourselves, and we know that this man really is the Savior of the world. So again, what a contrast. What a contrast between the two cultures. This is a culture that is talking about the Messiah in the first place. Keep praying for the Messiah to come. And then every time a prophet comes upon them, if the people in charge don't like it, they kill that person. So they want it until it upsets their power, because the people in power don't want to let go of power. So they're not willing to accept, they're not willing to proclaim that, we're not willing to risk. And here we are on the other side of that when looking at the same thing and not having that power structure, not having any skin in the game, in any kind of ruling anything. And it's just apparent to them that this is the Messiah. So here they go, they're going to go fight. We believe. And it's just that simple. Because it can be just that simple. Nobody said anything in life worth having was going to be easy. And we only get to keep what we have earned and what we're willing to work hard for. But belief doesn't have to be hard. If something just appears to be something, and you've looked, you've examined, because they heard the woman and they were willing to go take a chance. And then from what they saw, he was who he said he was. And then they could rejoice. Don't overlook the things that can bring you real joy in life just because they seem simple. Simple can often be better.